I was in Iraq between 2000. I started there in 2003 and served until 2010 with 20 months off for good behavior when they made me ambassador to Algeria, but then Condi Rice sent me back to Iraq again. So during that time, this guy, who's now the president of Syria, that's him on the left in his Al-Qaeda guise. And he was a senior Al-Qaeda commander up in northern Iraq in a city called Mosul. For Americans who were in Iraq, you might remember Mosul was one of the worst, nastiest places. The State Department actually lost 5 diplomatic personnel in 2 different car bombs up in Mosul during that time, and hundreds of American soldiers were killed or injured up in that Mosul area by this guy and his fighters. So starting in 2023, a British non-government organization which specializes in conflict resolution invited me to help them bring this guy out of the terrorist world and into regular politics.
This is my video update on this Wednesday afternoon, May the 21st, coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with Dmitry Medvedev's speech at the St. Petersburg Legal Forum, an event that Alexander Mercouris attended, and he was actually on many panels at this legal forum. And I imagine that he was in the audience when Medvedev gave this speech in St. Petersburg. So when Alexander returns to London, we will do a breakdown of what Medvedev said in St. Petersburg, since he was there on the spot, listening to Medvedev's speech. I imagine he was there listening to Medvedev's speech. So we'll do a good video on the Duran when Alexander is back in London. But let me say a few words about Medvedev's speech. He talked about Project Ukraine, of course. He sounded off on the Trump-Putin phone call and the U.S.-Russia negotiations. As expected, Medvedev is taking a hard line. No surprise there. He said in his speech that for Ukraine, this is their last chance at statehood. He actually called Ukraine at the moment, he said they are a quasi-state, but this is their last chance, he said. The negotiations between the U.S. and Russia, the Trump-Putin phone call, and the agreement to put together a memorandum, and this effort that is taking place is the last chance for Ukraine to preserve some sort of a state. So that was an interesting statement from Medvedev. And then he talked about the memorandum, and he said that this memorandum is going to take a long time. He says we have a long way to go to actually put together the memorandum, to put content into the memorandum that addresses the root causes, and then to get to the point where there's an actual signature. He says that we have a long, long way to go to get to that point. And then Medvedev said, when we get to that point where we can actually sign this document, who's going to sign it? Who is going to sign this document? Because for Russia, the current leadership in Ukraine is not recognized. They are not the elected leaders of Ukraine according to the Ukraine constitution, according to Russia's legal experts. So if you get to the point where you have to actually sign a memorandum and make it stick, you're going to need new leadership That's basically what Medvedev was saying. He's talking about a regime change, isn't he? That's what he's talking about. He's talking about putting together the capitulation papers, the documents that address the root causes, June 2024, Istanbul Plus, and then when you put all of this into the memorandum and into the document, that's going to need signing. You're going to have a new government, a government that is legal according to Russia, and a government that Russia recognizes, and a government that can actually sign this document and make it legal and lasting. Very interesting statements from Medvedev. Let me see if I have some quotes bookmarked. He said, Ukraine's leaders have one last chance to preserve, under certain conditions, after the end of military actions, some kind of statehood, or if you like, some kind of international legal personality, and gain a chance for peaceful development. As for the memorandum, this idea has been formulated, but it is still a long way to go before the memorandum will be filled with content that will be adequate to the problem. To find an appropriate or proper legal form, and to find those who are able to sign this kind of memorandum for Ukraine, if it is possible. And this is not an easy task, he said. So Lavrov, so that's Medvedev speaking at a legal forum. Medvedev being a very well established, from what I understand, a very smart and capable lawyer. He's speaking at a legal forum in St. Petersburg. That's Medvedev. On the same day, you had Lavrov speaking at an event that was focused on religion and orthodoxy. And Lavrov pretty much took the same position as Medvedev. He said that Russia will not, under any circumstances, abandon Orthodox believers in Ukraine, believers of the recognized Ukraine Orthodox Church, not the schismatic Orthodox Church of Ukraine, but the recognized UOC, Ukraine Orthodox Church. The other church was a church created many years ago, before the special military operation. Many people believe that this church was put together by Pompeo, the CIA. That's what many people believe about the schismatic church. But you do have some Orthodox churches which actually do recognize this schismatic church, but you also have Orthodox churches which do not recognize the schismatic church. Anyway, that's a different video for a different time. Lavrov, he said that when it comes to the Ukraine Orthodox Church, Russia will not abandon them. And in his speech, actually, Lavrov said that a lot of the violence and the property seizure that is taking place against the recognized canonical Ukraine Orthodox Church is happening with the knowledge and the support of Europeans. An interesting statement from Lavrov. He said the authorities of Kiev have brought the UOC to the brink of legal liquidation. Churches continue to be seized, vandalized, and attacked, along with priests and parishioners, Lavrov alleged. He pointed in particular to Ukraine's attempts to wrestle control over the iconic Kiev-Pechersk Lavra, the country's oldest monastery. Russia will not leave the Orthodox people of Ukraine in trouble, Lavrov stressed, adding that Moscow will ensure that their lawful rights are respected and that canonical Orthodoxy regains its central place in Ukraine's spiritual life. The legal, the executive, the spiritual. Russia will make sure that everything is restored. That's basically the message that both Medvedev and Lavrov are putting out there. So that's Lavrov and Medvedev. When it comes to Project Ukraine, let's now talk about Trump when it comes to Project Ukraine. And Trump walking away from Project Ukraine, and the New York Times very upset that Trump is thinking about walking away from Project Ukraine. They put out an article. 1 second, let me fix this. They put out an article with the title, Trump's new position on the war in Ukraine. Not my problem. In a reversal, President Trump appears to have backed off, joining a European push for new sanctions on Russia, seemingly eager to move on to doing business deals with it. That's the whole article right there, summarized by the New York Times. That's it. They are very worried. The media, the Europeans, the neocons, the neolibs, that Trump has had enough of dealing with Project Ukraine. What's more important for the United States, what's more important for the Trump administration is to normalize relations with Russia. He's right about that. To do business with Russia. He's right about that. And the Trump-Putin phone call, they've now put in place the roadmap, if you want to call it a roadmap, for Trump to be able to exit Project Ukraine. The off-ramp has now been presented to Trump, and he is taking that off-ramp, and they're very worried about this. The globalist powers are very worried about Trump walking away from Project Ukraine. Not my problem. Biden's war. It's Biden's war. The United States now the Trump administration can walk away from Project Ukraine, put together the memorandum, present it to the Zelensky regime, or if you go by what Medvedev is saying, remove the Zelensky regime. Maybe the Zelensky regime rejects the memorandum and then the Zelensky regime gets replaced. But whatever the details of the plan are, it looks like that is where the Trump administration, or at least President Trump, is leaning towards. Of course, with Trump, he could obviously swing back towards the Europeans and towards the Zelensky globalist position, which is sanctions. That's how important sanctions were to them. As we've been saying on this channel and on the Duran, that has been the struggle that has been taking place over the past month, to try and get the Trump administration to sign up to sanctions against Russia, knowing that this would bog down the United States, not only in Ukraine, but in Europe and in NATO, and it would keep the weapons, and more importantly, it would keep the money and the washing machine spinning, keep the money flowing and the washing machine spinning. That's what this last month has been all about. Just get Trump to sign off on sanctions. My God, Trump, why will you not just sign off on sanctions? Come on, man. But as I said yesterday, Trump, he sidestepped all of this with the help of Russian President Putin. Maybe with the coordination or cooperation of the Russian President Putin. I don't know. But, Trump can always swing back. You always got to keep that in mind. But right now, the globalists are very, very worried about what is taking place. So Putin, he visited Kursk for the first time since the Zelensky Ukraine incursion. He went to one of the power plants in Kursk. Putin visits Kursk region for first time since full liberation from Ukrainian forces. The president toured the construction site of a new nuclear power plant and spoke with local officials. Okay, so he went to a construction site for a new power plant in the Kursk region. CNN still has doubts that Kursk has been fully liberated. They ran with the title, Putin makes first visit to Kursk since Russia claimed to have recaptured the region. You see, for CNN, it's very important to say that Russia claims they captured the region, because Zelensky every now and again comes out with statements saying that Ukraine is still present in Russian territory. And that means that Ukraine does have some leverage over Russia, right? Zelensky's talking about one or two Ukraine soldiers that are stuck somewhere in Kursk, hiding out in some basement in Kursk and in the Kursk region. And for Zelensky, that means that the Ukraine military still has a presence in Kursk. And that means that Ukraine still controls part of Russian territory and give us more money and more weapons because we have leverage over Russia. So CNN is very, very careful to make sure they add the word claimed in there when talking about Kursk and Putin's visit to Kursk. So Putin's visit to Kursk is the message that Russia is in full control, happening a couple of days after the phone call with Trump. Russia putting out the message that Kursk has been fully liberated, no doubts about it. The Russian president is there and Ukraine's leverage is gone. Remember a couple of months ago when all the collective West could do, all they could talk about was how Ukraine holds parts of the Kursk region, and this is huge. I mean, it is absolutely huge, massive leverage over Russia. We're going to trade territories with Russia. That was the plan a couple of months ago. We're going to tell Russia that we're going to give back Kursk if you give back Donetsk or Lugansk or whatever. And that was the big leverage that Ukraine was holding over Russia. And if Russia did not agree, then the narrative was that Ukraine was going to continue to push further into Kursk, right? That's what they were telling us. Just 2 months ago, that was the narrative coming out of the collective West media. Now you have Russian President Vladimir Putin at the construction site of a new power plant that is being built in Kursk. So let's shift gears, and should we talk about Romania? Oh, before we get to Romania, I do have some breaking news, and that is that the former advisor to one-time President Yanukovych, the president that was coup d'etat, I believe he is in exile in Russia at the moment, Yanukovych, but he was the Ukraine, the last proper democratically elected president of Ukraine that was coup d'etat in 2014 with cookies and bread and ice cream courtesy of Victoria Nuland and McCain and Sikorsky and all of these people that were in the Maidan in 2014. Well, his advisor, a man who goes by the name of Andrei Portnov, this is horrific, was shot near Madrid outside of a school. So the presidential advisor to Yanukovych was assassinated outside of a school in Madrid where he was living. From the reports that I read, it was assassins on motorcycles, mopeds or motorcycles, that pulled up in front of him as he was dropping off his kids at this school or picking up his kids at this school. And they shot him 4 or 5 times in the chest and 1 time in the head. And then they rode off on their motorcycles. Horrific, man. Outside of a school. So I don't know what Portnov, I don't know what his position was with Project Ukraine, with the Zelensky regime, with Russia. I don't know, but he was the presidential advisor to Yanukovych. So that's got to say something. But on the flip side, he was living in Spain, in Madrid. So maybe he broke ties with Yanukovych. I don't know. But from what I understand, he was at one point in time a very powerful politician in Ukraine. So maybe someone in Kiev is taking out possible opposition, possible people that could form some sort of a new government in Ukraine that would sign off on the memorandum that is being created, or that will be created. That's just a guess. This is just a guess. This could be completely unrelated to the memorandum, or to the Zelensky regime, or to the government in Kiev. Maybe this is something else that's going on. I don't know. But anyway, that's the breaking news that came out this morning. So now let's talk about Romania and Simion, who posted on X. Let me pull it up here. Where is it? Simion posted on X, "I officially ask Constitutional Court to annul Romanian presidential elections May 2025. For the very reasons December elections were annulled, external interferences by state and non-state actors, this time proven with evidence. Neither France nor Moldova nor anyone else has the right to interfere in the elections of another state. To all Romanians, ask urgently the Constitutional Court to annul this farce. We will not give up and we will not betray. This is only the beginning of a great victory." To which Pavel Durov responded to this post from Simion saying, "I'm ready to come and testify if it helps Romanian democracy." Pavel Durov being the founder and CEO of Telegram, who posted on the day of the elections that Lerner, the French intel chief, actually approached him and demanded that Durov and Telegram ban conservative voices in Romania. And Pavel Durov revealed this the day of the election, but he said that France and the French intel chief approached him way before the elections actually took place. So that's the statement from Simion. Keep in mind that Simion did concede the election defeat in a video that he posted on the day of the elections. He actually put out his concession, his defeat. He actually put out that video very quickly when the results were revealed that Lieutenant Dan had received 54% of the vote in the final and second round of voting. From 20%, he went up to 50% in a month's time. Wow. Wow. And if you believe that, well, I don't know what to say, but from 20% to 54% in 1 month. Bro, come on. And Simion went from about 41% to about 46%. Yeah, that's normal. That's normal, right? To go from 20 to 54%. I don't know. Maybe in the first round of voting, everybody that supported Lieutenant Dan just did not show up. And we're talking about a lot of people. We're talking about millions and millions and millions and millions of Romanians. In the first round, they just sat it out. And then in the second round, they came out in full force. All of them came out in full force and pushed Nicosur to win by a very, very large margin, 54%. A decisive win for Nicosur. But Simion, I think a little too late, it seems. You should not have put out that concession video. You put that out so quickly. And now you're coming back and you're saying we need to annul the elections. And Pavel Durov, why did you reveal this information the day of the elections? Why did you not reveal this information 2 or 3 weeks before the elections? Why did you wait so long to reveal that French intel approached you to censor and cancel supporters of Simion? I don't think this is going to go anywhere. Unfortunately, Simion has made mistakes. He made a mistake with his concession statement. Durov, too late, man. You put this information out there the day of the freaking elections. Come on, bro. Come on. You know what the EU is going to do? The globalists, they're going to ignore this. The Constitutional Court in Romania obviously is not going to take this up. Obviously, they're not going to take this up. They're going to ignore this. And then if Simion continues to push, if this is genuine coming from Simion, because of course this could be some sort of a political game that's being played now by Simion. Maybe this is a business game that's being played by Durov. I don't know what's happening here, but if they continue to push for an annulment, anyone that supports an annulment, the European Union, the authorities in Romania, all they're going to say is that these people are Kremlin propagandists. That's what they're going to say. They're pushing the Kremlin line that these elections were not fair. These are election deniers, and the mainstream media is going to support this narrative. Election deniers in Romania, election deniers who are sponsored by the Kremlin in Romania, and that's what they're going to go with. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to get much traction, but maybe it does. I could be wrong. Maybe this does gain traction. Simion's call to annul the elections starts gaining momentum inside of Romania, and there's some sort of a push by the people from the ground up to take a look at what happened during these elections. But I think that Simion made a big mistake with the concession speech. So that's what's going on in Romania. Rubio, he was speaking to Congress, and he dropped the bomb yesterday. Marco Rubio, he told Congress that when it comes to Syria, it's all good that Assad is gone. That's good that Assad was regime change, coup d'etat. But Rubio said that Syria is in bad shape and the country is breaking apart. Rubio says Syria is maybe weeks away from full-scale civil war of epic proportions. And I thought that Al-Jilani wearing a suit and tie, I thought that was enough. That was enough to keep Syria together and to make Syria this beacon of democracy and human rights. Wasn't that what we were being sold? A reformed, a changed Chilani from Al-Qaeda, HTS, to statesman, to president, statesman of Syria. Wasn't that what the collective West was telling us? No need to worry. Bad man Assad is gone, and now we have a reformed Al-Jilani. He even changed his name to Al-Shara. Put on a suit and tie, and all was good in Syria, according to the collective West. Well, not so good, according to Rubio's statements from yesterday. Syria has already been effectively broken apart, by the way. And it's already in a quasi-state of a civil war, isn't it? I mean, Al-Jilani was going after massacring Christians and Alawites and Druze. Syria's already broken up in three different pieces. I don't think the statements from Rubio surprise anybody. This was expected to happen when they coup d'etat Assad, and maybe this is what they want to have happen. Maybe the powers that be, they prefer a Syria that is broken apart. Broken apart, military, the air defenses military of of Syria has been completely destroyed. This is what they wanted when they removed Assad. Anyway, Kaya Kallas, stunning and brave, Kaya Kallas, she posted on X, "Today we took the decision to lift our economic sanctions on Syria. We want to help the Syrian people rebuild a new, inclusive, and peaceful Syria. The EU has always stood by Syrians throughout the last 14 years and will continue doing so." Yeah. Kaya Kallas wants to support an inclusive Syria. Got to have that woke lingo in there, right? Values. EU values, European, Western values, and inclusivity. That's what matters most in Syria. And the European Union, they supported Syria for 14 years, all the way to the point where they supported the breakup of the country. The removal of Assad and the breakup of Syria as we see it unfolding today. That's some good support from the European Union. Kaya Kallas putting out this post on X that the EU is lifting sanctions on Syria the same day that Rubio told Congress that Syria is heading towards a full-scale civil war of epic proportions. That's a direct quote from Rubio, a full-scale civil war of epic proportions. That's what Rubio's saying, and Kaya Kallas is saying, hooray, we lifted sanctions on Syria, yay, inclusivity. Inclusivity, that's what it's all about. Stunning and brave, Kaya Kallas, who lives in delusional La La Land. She also gave a press conference yesterday where she talked about the 17th sanctions package, and she posted on X, "Sanctions are working. They hit Russia's economy hard and hamper its capacity to wage war. We are already preparing the next package." And she spoke to the media and presented the 17th sanctions package and talked about the 18th sanctions package that's being prepared. And she's very, very proud of herself. Kaya Kallas, as you watched this event, was very happy and very proud of herself for putting together the 17th sanctions package, working on the 18th sanctions package, and proclaiming to all of those in attendance that sanctions are working, everybody. They're working. Russia's economy is in tatters. Tatters. Stunning and brave. I wonder if someone should pull her aside and tell her the truth, or should we just allow her to continue to live in this delusional fantasy land? I don't know. Kind of torn on this. There's a part of me that says, maybe someone should tell Kaya Kallas what's really going on with the Russian economy. But then there's a part of me that says, why ruin it for her? She seems to be enjoying this myth, this delusion that the Russian economy is falling apart, that their war capacity has been hampered. That's the word that she used. That their war economy, their economy and their capacity to wage war has been hampered. We should just allow her to continue to believe this, right? Right. I think we should. It gives me a lot of good material. Anyway, that's stunning and brave, Kaya Kallas. How we doing on time? Yeah, I need to wrap this thing up. I need to wrap up this video. Trump, he announced yesterday the Golden Dome. The Golden Dome is under construction, or is about to go under construction. The Golden Dome, which will protect all of the United States, and if Canada is nice, if they want, will also protect Canada. It will shoot down any missiles from near or from afar, and it's going to cost about $175 billion, all going to the military-industrial complex. Musk is also making a bid to be part of the Golden Dome construction. And Trump said that the Golden Dome will be ready in 3 years. By the time he leaves office, the United States will have the Golden Dome. Trump details plan to build Golden Dome missile shield by end of term. Golden Dome, the Iron Claw. The Von Erich Iron Claw, the Iron Claw. It's Golden Dome. It's a catchy name. I give it that. It's a catchy name, the Golden Dome. Whether it's going to actually happen, I don't know. Maybe. Maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it kind of half happens. Maybe you get a little bit of protection. But one thing's for sure. One thing is a certainty. The money will flow to the military-industrial complex, the spice. The spice must flow. The MIC is going to be making a lot of money, whether the United States and North America actually gets the protection of a Golden Dome. Probably not. I remember the days of Star Wars, Reagan Star Wars. Probably not. You'll probably get some sort of a missile shield or something's going to get created. But 175 billion, probably double that, is going to now flow to the MIC for the Golden Dome, the Iron Claw. The Iron Claw. I used to love that wrestling move, the Iron Claw. That was the best, the Iron Claw. Anyway, all right. I'm sure a lot of people don't understand what I'm talking about, but there's a good movie on the Von Erichs that came out a couple of years ago with Zac Efron. Yeah, that was a good movie, The Iron Claw. All right, what else? Let's go to Clown World and we'll wrap this video up. CNN put out an article saying new intelligence suggests Israel is preparing possible strike on Iranian nuclear facilities, U.S. officials say. The article from CNN, once again, it talks about multiple U.S. officials familiar with the latest intelligence. The whole article talks about people who are familiar with the latest intelligence, not intel officials who want to remain anonymous, not people inside the Trump administration who want to remain anonymous. It talks about people familiar with the intel, whatever that means. So maybe Netanyahu is about to hit at Iran. Maybe he's not. Hard to get an understanding as to what's going on when the whole article is referencing people familiar with the intel. Actually, the article, further down in the article, it says that the people who are familiar with the intel and claim that Israel's going to hit at Iran, what could be going on is actually just Israel putting pressure on Iran, having military exercises, and talking about hitting Iran's nuclear facilities in order to keep the pressure on Iran, or to keep the pressure on Trump, whichever way you want to look at it. Anyway, that's the article from CNN. Excellent CNN reporting, people familiar with the matter. I should start saying that, huh? I should start putting out stories and saying people familiar with the matter. Oh, that reminds me, the Clown World that I did yesterday. Yeah, people familiar with the matter. People familiar with the matter were saying that not the mediator, I said the mediator, actually the translator, had skipped town in Istanbul, had left the Istanbul talks, and was running away from Ukraine. That looks like it was false. It looks like the video that made it seem as if it was CNN Turk was actually a fake video. So that's that Clown World, null and void. Even though I messed up that whole Clown World, by the way. I was talking about a mediator when it was the translator. But anyway, scrap the whole thing. It looks like that video was fake. That's becoming a trend, putting together these fake info, these info videos. And then they put the logo of a news source like Al Jazeera or CNN Turk. And it works. It's very effective. From now on, when I see one of those videos on social media, if I don't see it in the account, coming from the account of the actual news source like CNN Turk or Al Jazeera putting out a video like that, if I don't see it coming from their official account, I'm just going to assume that it's fake. So anyway, let's do a Clown World and we will wrap this video up. Oh boy, I don't have time, man. I've got a bunch of Clown Worlds. Which one should I choose for today? Well, I could talk about the Stalmer fires. The Stalmer fires and another male model, from what I understand, was arrested. Ukraine-born model suspected in arson attack on British PM's home, according to media. According to British media, another suspect in the case is a Ukrainian national who reportedly has similar career aspirations. A Ukrainian national, someone who was born in Ukraine, but from what I understand, was living in Romania. He was detained by UK authorities. The second person possibly involved in the 3 fires on Stalmer's property, 2 homes and a car. The second Ukrainian. I believe the first guy was also involved in some sort of modeling or something along those lines. This guy was a model. There are reports that allegations, I'm being very careful in what I say, allegations and claims and rumors that these 2 guys were involved in other activities. But something is not right with this story and Stalmer. From Baron of the Tega, it is a little odd that 2 vaguely feminine-looking Ukrainian men knew where Stalmer's second home was. Is this publicly available information in the UK? It's a good point made in this post. Is it common public information where Stalmer's second residence was located? I don't know. That's a good question. But I talked about this in a video I made 3-4 days ago, and I didn't get into any details. I think I was one of the first people to actually put this out there, and since then, a lot of people are now getting into the details of what might be going on, and they're revealing some interesting information about these guys. But I'll leave it there. I won't say more because we're still, I think, at the allegation rumors level of things, even though something stinks. Something really, really stinks with this whole fire story. Not good for Stalmer, not good at all. Let's do one more clown world. Yeah. And we'll talk about Estonia. Who is this guy? I think this is the defense minister. Hanno Pevker said, if I were afraid of Russia, I wouldn't be the defense minister. I'm not afraid of Russia. Estonia is one of the best prepared NATO countries for war with Russia. We can mobilize 44 troops in less than 48 hours. I know a few countries that can mobilize so many forces so quickly. I'm sorry, did I say 44 troops? He said 44,000 troops in less than 48 hours. I think 44 is more correct. Yeah, Russia is shaking. Russia is shaking. They are very worried. I have my sources in the Kremlin who have contacted me, and these sources are familiar. I have sources that are very familiar about what is going on in the Russian government, and they told me that Putin actually convened a meeting in the middle of the night with the Security Council, and they are going to be putting together the capitulation papers that they are going to sign and deliver to Estonia because of the fear that Estonia is able to mobilize 44,000 troops in less than 48 hours. That's what sources familiar with what is going on inside the Kremlin told me. They're taking these statements from the defense minister very, very seriously. Estonia, man. Estonia's good, man. They give us a lot of the top level officials of Estonia, including Stunning and Brave. They give us a lot of good material, don't they? I'm starting to like the stuff that's coming out of top level officials in Estonia. Good clown world material. That's the video, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I'm wearing in this video update. There is a link in the description box down below. Take care.